What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by George Wall Ford. George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more. Again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to our interview Thursday. We have a very special guest for you. We have Kevin Purcell, Executive Director of the NJSGA. He's a 13-time club champion at Forest Hill Field Club. And those two factors are why he's on today's episode, Mike. He is the state amateur is coming to Forest Hill coming up next week. And we thought who better than the guy that runs the tournaments, hosts the tournaments, puts on the tournaments, as executive director. He's the head honcho. And he's very integral in those tournaments. So not only is he putting on the tournament, but it's at his home club where he grew up, where he's currently a member, where, as I said, he's a 13-time club champion. And for those of you out there that are like, oh, they must have 3 members. No, Kevin is a stud, an absolute stick. And who better than someone that knows the course than someone that's won there multiple times. So we went out there, went up to Bloomfield, played with Kevin. Mike had quite a day. That was on a day where Mike played 44 holes of golf. Not all at Forest Hill, but we went up there. We got to play and then sat down with Kevin upstairs in like the little dining room area. Had a nice overview of I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but overlooking like the 1st, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th, like kind of like a little corner there of the interview. So it was really quite a nice day. We go through all the holes. We talk about the intricacies of the golf course, kind of where you want to be, where you want to leave it. In another one of our, again, we've kind of hooked up with the NJSGA in this preview of the majors, and here's a major. So that's what we got going on this week.
It's exciting. I mean, listen, when we started this idea way back when with the first major of theirs at Hollywood, now we're 3 for 3, and if we can get one more, we got the Grand Slam. So that's kind of what the goal is here. And listen, I think the feedback that not only have we received, but they as well, that the participants, the caddies, everybody enjoys listening to us talk with somebody there to give it a hole by hole, 9 side, each 9's breakdown, where we think birdie holes are, where they think they should miss them. Because of many DMs that I received, like, oh, that was super helpful. This was really, listening to you guys talk about this hole, that hole. So again, listen, it's one of those things that, like, all we're trying to do is talk golf, play golf, and experience all things golfing in the Garden State. So here's just another way for us to do that.
Yeah. So we're not going to hold you up much longer. So without further ado, here's our interview with Kevin Purcell. Enjoy.
All right. So today's guest is 13-time men's club champion here at Forest Hill Field Club. Today's guest is Kevin Purcell. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Happy to be here, Mike.
So listen, we've kind of been previewing all the NJSGA majors, and obviously, you're, at the forefront of all of these, and I can't thank you enough in terms of partnering with us to getting these out there, because the response and the feedback has been unreal, and it's kind of fitting that we're here at your home club, and who better to tell us a little bit about this place. We got to experience it firsthand. So why don't you give us a little bit of a background of this place, kind of like where it was to kind of where it is today?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is like kind of a dream come true to run the amateur championship from the State Golf Association point of view, being a lifelong member here, and being one who's played so many rounds of golf here. So thanks for including me in this. Forest Hill is like a hidden gem. There's a lot of people who live in Bloomfield and Belleville who don't even know it's here, because there's only a couple places from streets that you can see it, and it's just a great little beautiful little gem on top of a hill. A great view of Manhattan from the first tee. The course was originally founded in a little south of here, southeast of here, in what's close to the Claramas Hospital and the Branch Brook Park in Essex County, and then they just the county wanted to take over that land to make it a park, and they were looking for land, and they just came really what's a half a mile up the road and found a piece of property here. And when they did it, when they built the golf course here, the membership, they got AW Tillinghouse to manage the construction of the golf course and design it, and it's a great little golf course. It's got every shot that you need, as you guys can attest to today.
It does.
You've got to hit some hooks off the tee. You got to hit some fades off the tee. It's got great bunkering. Very recently, we've had Tom Kite come and do a complete renovation, where he came in, he restored 4 greens, and then moved all of the fairway bunkers into position that would make sense for the modern play, but then also strengthened all those bunkers, where the bunkers had gone from flashed up bunkers, flashed up sand like Tillinghast had originally designed, to where it was just green grass knolls with flat sand for a lot of years after Robert Trent Jones came in and did a renovation, and now they brought back that original feel of the Tillinghast flashed bunkers and the big lips to get over, and there are some real, as you guys know, there's some real tough fairway bunkers up there to have to get out of.
Yeah. It has all the things that a Tillinghast course has. Like you go anywhere, you're going to see like, oh, this is this hole at Bethpage, and this is this hole at another place. Like you can see all of those here. It has those great bones of his. Yeah.
It's got that traditional 2 par 5s in a row that Tillinghast was known for. The last 2 holes at Baltusrol. He's got them at Wingfoot and other other places.
I'll be dead honest, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like
That's
a
a thing it
signature
is?
thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard you guys say that, and I didn't know what that
Yeah.
meant. I kind of just
Yeah.
yeah. But now, listen.
We like to
listen,
educate.
hey, I'm
We
getting
like to-
educated here, so listen, that's a great thing.
Even summer, we're still teaching.
Yeah, listen. So let's go through the golf course. For the audience that doesn't know, it's roughly 6,600 yards. It's a par 71, 36 on the front, 35 on the back. But let's go through the golf course. And I think when I stepped on that first tee today and I just looked out, you kind of know right from the get-go, like, all right, I'm in for something cool, something special, something really neat. Because I think when you see the skyline off that first tee box, it's like no matter what happens today, like, I'm going to have a good day.
Yeah.
And that first tee shot, I think, kind of welcomes you, but also tests you because, to your earlier point, those bunkers are in a spot where you need to know your numbers and you need to be accurate with that because you hit it in the left bunker there today.
Yeah.
That right bunker is right where it's easily, going to be able to put in there. But I also thought the first hole is kind of like,
Whoa, hold on, Mike. Or you can go really far right, and you get a clean shot at the green. Either
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
is
you
You
great.
can play from the 11th
you
hole,
can play
too.
from the 11th hole too. I did think that was kind of like a welcoming first hole, though.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything out to get you. It was kind of like what you see is what you get. But I did think the drive was kind of the most important thing there.
No question. The fairway is actually pretty generous as far as the rest of the fairways on the golf course are, width-wise. But if you stray from it a little bit, there's bunkers, 2 bunkers down the right side and 1 bunker, which is a new bunker that Tom Kite put in down the left side, really in that long hitter driving zone. And then you only have about 70 yards to the green, but it's a green that kind of, it starts out on the front left and then swings back to the back right, and there's a bunker behind there. So the hardest bunker, one of the hardest bunkers to get up and down from on the golf course is that left bunker green side on the first hole. Really need to avoid that. It's a new green. Tom Kite redid that green because the front right hole location just kept rolling off the green. So they wanted to kind of raise that a little bit, put a little shelf in the back, put a ridge down the middle, and there's a lot of variety out there now.
Yeah,
a lot of nice little hole
to
locations.
your point of like, I wasn't in the bunker. I was even further left of the
Yeah.
bunker. But like, I thought I put a great shot on like a little flop shot to land it and let it roll.
Yeah.
Not realizing the ridge was
Yep.
there, and it took the ridge and went
just keep
30
sliding.
feet past. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, there's no doubt the precision off that first hole. The tee shot is going to be a huge indicator.
And
to
But
it-
that.
it's also
such
a
a cool
birdie
spot.
hole.
It is.
You get
Yeah.
it in the fairway, and you've got 70 yards. You hit it close. You make a 5-footer, and you off to the second
off
hole.
to the second hole.
There's the opportunities there.
And I love the connection of the and we're going to get into it, I'm sure, with the 12th hole, like this hole, and it's for those watching, it's like right under us here, but like you're going to have so much action in
Yeah,
this area
for
here
sure,
with the first
for
tee,
sure.
12 going off, people coming up 18.
18 right there.
You got
Yeah.
there's a lot of action here, so like while it might not be the hardest hole, there's going to be a lot of, I don't want to say commotion,
Yeah.
but like there's going to be a lot of stuff going on that's you're really going to have to focus unless you have one of those early times where there's nothing
And
else
it's kind
going
of
on.
cool to stand on the first tee and aim at the Empire State Building because it's right down the center of the fairway.
Yeah.
There's a lot more buildings there now. Than, when I grew up here, it was pretty much just the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building. And now there's all kinds of big buildings over there in the skyline. But you aim at the Empire State Building, if you hit it right at it, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
It's summertime, the perfect time to get that new boat you've been dreaming about. Comstock Yacht Sales, your trusted local boating source since 1973, now has 2 locations. Visit their new sales center in Seabright. In addition to their original 50-year-old family business in Brick, Comstock is the largest dealer for Grady White boats, offering 22 models to suit every size and budget. Stop by either location any day of the week to explore their impressive Grady lineup tailored to meet your family's needs. Don't forget, check out their full inventory of new and pre-owned boats online anytime at ComstockYachtSales.com. Get your Grady today. Yeah, and I think this, the first hole is kind of welcoming.
Yep.
Because then I think once you get to this stretch of 2, 3, 4, it's like kind of like here we go a little bit. And when I see number 2, it's a dog leg right You're not necessarily going to be able to pound driver all the way up there. You got, again, another fairway bunker strategically placed out there on the left-hand side. And as you get closer to this green, I'm going to say this now, if you miss it long on 2, good luck. You know, you're talking 5, 6, possibly 7. And no one wants to make those kind of scores that early in a round.
Yeah.
So when you're going up to it, it is, you know, stay short, stay short, stay short.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a false front there too. So the short shot into 2, you're going to be challenged with a putt, 2 putting up over this false front. So there's a little slope in the back left of the green that's going to be very receptive to balls there. And if there's a left hole location, you can hit it beyond the hole, and it's going to roll back towards the hole. But if you hit it, if the hole location's in the back right and you hit it in the back left, you don't have a putt towards the hole. You're going to have to kind of feed one down to the middle and then putt up to the hole. And there's just that little tongue that goes out in the back right, and I'm sure we're going to sneak a hole location in there sooner or later. Yeah. And it gets challenging back there.
It gets snappy. I had a putt straight up at our hole today, and I thought I put a good, it was going to break a little bit, and it caught that tongue and just and it just went.
Yep.
Yeah, that definitely is a challenging second hole. And I kind of love how the second hole's green and the runoff leads right to the third tee box. To me, like, aesthetically, and I'm a big optics guy, like, that is really, really cool. And I think when people see par 5s and they see only number 512, it's like, all right, I can get here in 2, no problems asked. But I will say this. For the people that have not played a practice round, like, when you get to number 3, you've got to make sure that you are paying attention because the water down there on the right-hand side says it's about 275, 280 to the water down there. And it sneaks up.
It does.
It sneaks
up.
up.
I was just going to say, it sneaks up on you.
And then you got not an easy drive in terms of, like, you got Hay and Vescu on the left. And then as you get to the green, like, I don't even know how to describe number 3, but best of luck.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Yeah.
Especially if you know nothing about the golf course.
And with a pin placement on the right side of the green, don't go after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a pond to the right of the green.
Yep.
The green is canted a little from right to left, but it slides towards the pond. So anything from the fairway that you think you can't, first of all, you can't see the pond. So you think you're just playing it out.
So did I.
If you're hitting dead center of the green and you get a great shot, when you get up there, that ball might be in the pond. So you really need to kind of work the ball to the left side. And that's hard to do if you drive it down the left side because there are overhanging trees and there's a great bunker that's about 15 to 20 yards off the left side of the green, which ideally you would want to hit over that bunker and let it scoot up on the green. That'll protect you from going right into the pond. But it's definitely a challenging hole. To your point, guys are going to have irons into that green, but it's a difficult iron shot. You have to decide whether you want to try to hit it up there and take the risk of rolling into that pond or lay up and then hit a wedge in.
I thought, Mike, you made a great point while we were out there today of guys may have to swallow their pride a little bit and go like something low, 2 iron, 3 iron, 4 iron, something short of the water, and then go wedge onto a green. Yeah. Depending on where the pin's placed, you're again, that takes a lot of pride swallowing. Like,
I would venture to guess there's not a whole lot of guys are going to try that. Right. I think a lot of guys are going to try to take that pond on because it's about 200 yards from the pond to the green, and then try to take that shot on. Yeah. It's just it's championship golf.
It is.
These guys want to go after it. They don't want to do a couple of wedges and lay up.
No, because they will also look at it as like, okay, well, if I can get up there in 2.
Yeah.
Right. Then my short game is like I can get up and down. Yeah. My birdie is still better. Yeah. Whereas if I possibly roll it up the middle, then I can potentially get an eagle.
I will say this about number 3 though. As much as I'm going to guess a lot of these guys are going to go after it, I don't know percentage-wise if it's the best play. Because when I think about that hole, like, even by smoking a drive down there, if you miss that shot a hair right, you're 100% going to bounce in the water because you don't realize, A, how much that water sneaks out, and how much that thing, B, slopes down from left to right.
There's no rough there.
There's nothing. The ball's not staying up. And then if you do say, okay, you know what, I'm going to try to go pin high left. If I blade one on that third shot over the green, I'm back in the water. So to me, like, I do recommend, like, listen, I'm sure birdies and eagles may be made there, no doubt about it. But I won't be surprised if you go 2-iron wedge, that your scores are going to be overall better than 3 or potentially 7 in the mix.
Yeah.
So to me,
That's the risk reward, right?
That's classic risk reward.
Yeah, you might go driver and sure, you're bringing eagle into play, but you're also bringing doubles into play.
Yeah, and so when you leave 3, you get to number 4, and this is when to me I'm kind of like, okay, I can see a lot of these guys now saying either they're frustrated after making double on 2 or 3, and saying I'm making eagle here. Or they're coming off making a great eagle or birdie on 3 and say, I got another one right here.
I can put together.
And this one on 4, to me, is gettable. To me, like, one word I wrote down is gettable here. Because if you can just carry the ball 250, 260 in the air over those bunkers, you, in theory, have a straight shot at a accessible pin.
At a flat green.
Nothing in front.
Roll it right
to
up.
me, like, I can.
This is a gettable hole.
A lot of eagles with the field.
If it was gettable for me, it's gettable for them.
Well, especially with the field that's coming in here, like that could be a hole that a lot of 3s are going to be made on.
The bunkers, if people have played here, a number of years ago, bunkers used to be on the right-hand side in the driving zone, and now they're on the left-hand side, so you have to carry them into a very generous fairway out there, but you can't see any of that over the bunkers. So the tee shot's a little bit intimidating. You just got to be able to pound it, like you said, 250 yards, and you'll clear that, and then you have a couple hundred yards in, and when you played, you had 190 in or so to that green. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to roll it over, because there's mounds in the back of the green, and they go down towards the 5th fairway, and it's just a very difficult pitch shot from there. And some people might even want to try to putt it over those hills just to get back in play.
Those bunkers in the fairway, they do, so it might be 250 on the right side, but I don't know what it was to clear, but it's like 270. It goes diagonal against you.
And then there's
so that's
2
also
more bunkers beyond that on the left-hand side. So there's a big oak out there. You can see the trunk of that tree, and it's a great driving target from that.
Then you get to 5. To me, to 5's is a, I don't want to say simple, but it's not a stressful par 3. To me, I think middle of the green for a lot of these guys is why you're laughing.
Of course, it's not.
No, because you hit it over the pin.
2 inches.
Yeah, okay, but
that ball. You had to fix your ball mark. You almost had to fix the lip of the hole from your shot.
I try to think from their perspective where you're thinking about this hole. And 150-yard par 3 for a lot of these guys is going to be a 9-iron pitching wedge.
Sure.
And so for them, they're thinking again. I'm pin seeking here. So so to me, I think about 5.
I'm busting your chops.
Yeah, because I think about that stretch 1 through 5 right off the bat. I could see someone going low.
Absolutely. That is the key. The key to the course is really getting low in 1 through 5.
Early. Yeah.
And it's harder than it used to be, but it's still there. If you're hitting a couple good shots on 3, you can make a birdie. If you hit a couple good shots on 4, you can make birdie. Hopefully you make birdie in 1 or 2. You could be 3-4 under by the 5th tee, by the 6th tee. That's a solid start to this round.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I think then when you get to 6, kind of thinking about 6, 7, 8, and 9 as a 4-hole stretch. That to me is like the meat of the front 9. Because you think about 6. It's a sharp dogleg right. You got to be able to hit a cut, which I've learned very well. If you don't hit a cut, again, you got those 2 bunkers out there on the left-hand side. So for these guys that can, it's going to be potentially driver wedge. But if you pull it a little bit, you're back in that awkward 100-yard range, 120-yard range of a bunker that's deep, that it goes from potentially a birdie hole to now it's like, all right, let me just kind of manage a little bit there on 6.
The unique thing about the bunkers through the renovation that just happened was as you hit a low tee shot that scoots up to the front of the bunker, a lot of times you just have to get it out of the bunker because there's front lips on 1, on 2, on 4, on 6, on anytime on 14, all of those bunkers that used to be flat and you'd be able to just hit out of the bunker are now very challenging bunkers.
With the lips, the native grass that's kind of around there. The nice part is that they are all flat at the bottom. So if you are in there, you can potentially move, do something with it.
Sure.
You got a good stance, but if you're on something or if you're too close to a lip, to your point, you're going to be in big trouble there.
And then you get to 7. For me, I wrote down one word on 7. I just wrote monster. It's a monster, because
Well, Mike, hole 6 is very afraid of hole 7 because 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I figured you were going to do some corny joke with that. Yeah. But hey, listen, I wrote down, I got my notes right here in front of me. Yeah. On that note, have a good night. 7, I just wrote monster because it says 416 on the card, but it definitely plays longer than that.
Yeah.
The tee shot is kind of demanding because you see this thing in the green is like up on a mountain. It's like perched all the way up. And even if you do it a good drive, you're still talking, you got 150, 160 yards, but it's up.
It's up.
And it's a long way up.
For sure.
So to me, like 7, again, you know, I'm hopeful that you've kind of started your round off well.
Yep.
Because 7, again, it's a number 1 handicap hole there.
Yeah, and that's the one that comes back to the clubhouse. So you're coming back to the hill of Forest Hill. You're coming back to the top, like you said. The putting green now is connected to the back of the 7th green. So if you were farther back, hitting a longer iron into an elevated green, and the trajectory just made it scoot to the back. It used to stop in the rough behind your green. Now it rolls over the hill and onto the putting green because they're connected, and you could have a 80-foot putt from the putting green back to the 7th green. That happens all the time. Guys will be practicing their putting during the AM, and balls will be coming up through that area just because punch shots from under the trees, anything that lands. It happened in our group, right? Chris did it in our group. He hit a nice iron shot, real good shot, landed on the front green, but scooted all the way back over the hills to the back of the
which makes things tough because when you're coming with a low iron into that green potentially, if that thing gets hot, it's gone.
Yep.
And then you're putting over a huge mound in the middle of the green. But then you're like, all right, I don't want to be long because if I'm long, I could be dead. But then I'm short, and then that thing rolls back down. So 7 to me, it's like take your 4 and sprint to number 8.
We played it today in wind condition that's not really typical. We played it dead into the wind. Usually it's crosswind or maybe even downwind. So it's a good hole, especially into the wind. But it's a little easier if these guys are going to be able to hit the ball up into the zone where they can hit 9 iron and wedge, and then they're hitting with enough elevation that they can hold that
control
green,
it a little easier.
It should be a little bit easier, but it's a solid hole.
No, listen, no doubt. Which leads to 8 to me. Like when you're looking again at a number, I know for us it was like you just said, a little more windy than maybe on an average day, but that's 216 from those back tees.
Yep.
Granted, for us today, thankfully, it was straight downwind and the pin was up, so it made it play a little easier than normal. But that's no joke of a par 3 either.
Sure.
I mean, you got bunkers all along the right-hand side there.
Yeah.
Don't miss it long because that green's not easy.
Nope.
I mean, that's a tough hole.
Yeah, for sure. I used to try to play cut off that tee, hit it down to that left bunker because the left bunker is a flat bunker. On the right side, both bunkers are down below the green a little bit. You're hitting up to them, but the left bunker is flat, so it's a little bit easier bunker to play out of. The grass between the bunker and the green will typically kick a ball towards the green. So if you're aiming down that left side and you just get it a little left of green, it could kick onto the green. So that is, the best play is to kind of go down that left side. If you have that hit into that bunker, at least it's a flat bunker. It's a little easier bunker shot than the other side.
Yeah.
Because once you get on the right side of that green, you got, luckily if you hit it in a bunker, because if it doesn't stay in a bunker, then you're going to go down a slope and you've got that tall fescue from between the 7th and 8th greens, the 7th and 8th holes. That could be problematic.
For sure. Which my ball damn near almost
exactly.
So I know that well.
Fair point.
And then I think as you kind of wrap up the front, you get to 9, another solid golf hole.
Yeah.
And for me, I kind of wrote down it's a narrow tee shot. You got to make sure that you keep the ball a little bit on a rope there, and then it's like don't miss it long on 9. As you finish up 9, I'd like to think that you got off to a great start, but those last 4 holes kind of, strap up a little bit.
Yeah, they're definitely good holes. You got to keep it, the 9th hole is between the pool and out of bounds right. So you got to keep it straight. There's a big oak that's out there on the left-hand side. If you hit it dead at that oak and you hit a little bit short of it, it'll kick down to the fairway, and that's the best play off the tee. And then from there, you've got another shortish iron, a wedge or a 9 iron in. But the green's got a big false front. You got to get it up to you got to get up at least a third into the green to have it stay up there. And to your point, you cannot go over that green because then it goes straight down to out of bounds in the entry road.
Yeah. So, and then I think as you kind of make the turn to the back 9 here, I have a lot of notes here on my thing, but number 10 to me had a lot of similar vibes as number 1. It wasn't anything like I got you.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what you see is what you get. I could see people going on 10 as long as you don't hit it right like all of us did in our group.
Yeah.
Whoa. Not all of us.
What'd you do, go left?
Some of us found the fairway.
Found the fairway, left side of the fairway. Yeah.
Listen, I apologize.
It was a fair point.
Listen,
By that
I
time-
gotta
have that in my
by that
notes.
stage,
I gotta
you
take the
weren't
wins
even
where I
paying
can get
I don't have
attention
that in my notes here, so I mean, listen, I don't have that. We might need to go back and look at that again. But I will say 10. There's nothing to me that really kind of says I got you on 10. I think I could see guys attacking 10 again with a driver off the tee and another wedge into 10.
Agreed. And you don't even have to hit driver off 10. You can hit an iron off 10. You have the out of bounds. It's just a straight, short hole, out of bounds down the right side, some trees on the left. You can hit iron off the tee or a hybrid off the tee and still have a short iron into the green. We played with the hole was in the front center. As you get to the back left, the green starts going away from you. So there's some challenges getting it over that front left bunker into that area. Better to kind of just hit it out in the middle of the green and then putt towards it. Yeah. But a challenging hole only because it's got to be a couple of straight shots. Yeah. But if you got that and whatever it takes to do that, that's what the 10th hole is about.
Yeah, and then 11 was a fun one because, for the audience, when you're here playing, the first hole you're going down and then 11's coming right back on your right-hand side here.
Yeah.
And, again, I have this written down, 3 different boxes, don't miss long.
Yeah.
Because, again, it is somewhat of a challenging tee shot, but it's nothing, again, that's going to say, I got you.
Yeah.
But if you decide you want to go at this potential back pin and you miss it long, I mean, I don't know what to say, but other than, it's kind of game over unless
You're not getting it close.
Unless you're making a bomb for par.
Yeah, because everything slopes, everything to the green, beyond the green, slopes towards the green. And so you're not going to be able to land the ball and stop it if you hit it over the green. And but there's plenty of green space up there. Mm-hmm. It's a much bigger green than it used to be. That's one of the greens that we redid. We needed to get some more hole locations. It's a little flatter. It's still got some slope. There's a little ridge that goes down the middle, but we moved it towards the tee a little bit, so the hole got a little shorter. So you're hitting a shorter iron into it, but it's still a challenging green. And to your point, you really don't want to go past it.
No. Listen, even being on the green where I was still past the pin about 25 feet, and that's still a super fast putt coming down, and thankfully I'm putting and not chipping it. So listen, when
and I was behind you. I hit a bad shot. I was back there, and I thought I landed it exactly where I wanted to. It bounced once in the deep rough, once in the first cut, and I was still 25 feet past. It had there's no way to stop it.
Yeah, it's very tough.
And then you get to 12, and 12 I can see
it's fun.
Some numbers.
Yeah,
some numbers because. You and I had talked about this on the golf course. Is it's always fun when you throw in a short par 4 that you have options. You can hit the 5-iron off the tee and then hit a wedge into the green, or you can hit a 3-wood driver and just say, I'm going to go at this.
Yeah.
And I got to expect that these guys are going to look at number 12 and say, if I don't make 3 here, I'm probably losing one to the field, because there is nothing on 12 other than, again, the false front in front of the green.
Yeah.
But if you can somehow get it even in that front left bunker, I can't foresee these guys struggling to get up and down.
Front left or front right bunker is a great place to be. The challenge is getting into the swale before the green at fairway height, because it's a difficult chip. Sometimes, I've seen all kinds of shot hitter. I've gone to putting from down there because you just putter up the slope and try to get into the middle green. But I've seen guys try to flop it up. I've seen guys try to bump it into the hill and kind of skid it up. The nice thing about that hole is that it's a drivable par 4 that if you spray it right or left, you're not out of play. You've got the 7th hole on the left, you got the 14th hole on the right. Most times you'll be able to find your ball and be able to still have a shot to the green. So you can give it a shot at running it up there, and if you do spray it, you're still going to have a chance at par at least.
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely got to think that the bird The bird is the word is really, on number
Yeah.
12. Did you
I
like
just
that
think it's
one?
going to be.
I did like that. It was
it's
good.
Gonna be, it's going to be a fun.
That'll be a fun hole.
because it's going to be a lot of people around the clubhouse.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
patio's right there. There'll be a lot of people milling around watching these
that
guys.
excitement that's
Yeah.
happening.
Try
Yeah.
to drive that green.
Yep.
To your point, 12's tee box is connected to number 1's
Yeah.
tee box, so it's all right there. So
Yeah,
it's another.
it's all right down here.
Yeah.
And even like I said before, 18's coming up, and then again, if you get into the round, you got 12 going out, 15 you got people coming back.
yeah.
It's a little further left, but you got the putting green. People are still
Seven's
milling
right
around
there.
there.
Yeah.
Seven's
People
green's
back.
right there.
And the
You
driving
have
range.
The driving range,
the
there are
driving
people
range. You got
watching
a
you.
lot of
Yeah.
action in
Yeah.
a small
Yeah.
area
Yeah.
that you're going to have eyes on you if you're that's so and so. Like people are gonna watch and see what he does there. Oh, okay, they took driver, missed there. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm gonna take So you got a lot of stuff going on
Yeah.
there.
And then you get to 13, which I put down. This is my second favorite hole. To another one later on, but I thought 13 from an aesthetics point of view was so good.
Yeah.
Slight little dog leg right. You got that creek that runs all along the right hand side there. Like, again, you talk about these bunkers. It's like a going trend here. Like, you got bunkers out there strategically placed that
Yeah.
you got to, again, hit this little cut often. And if you can't hit a cut, you can hit it like me and it dead into the trees.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out a way to cut the ball a little bit around.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You could also just lay it up short of the big bunker that's directly in front of you. You can hit hybrid out there, but whatever you're hitting, you have to hit it far enough to get it past the dog leg.
Yeah.
So you got to land it in a zone.
Right.
When I was saying to you out there that when those bunkers weren't there where it was all pines growing up, you didn't want anything to do with the pines that went from right down to the ground. So you just laid up there. I would hit hybrid or depending upon the wind, hybrid or 3-wood down there to the fairway to stay short of that stuff. Well, now there's a big penal bunker out there, so you might want to just do the same. I tend to hit driver, try to cut it down the tree line, get it past there to the right of that bunker, and that way you've got
Nearly a flip
130
wedge.
to the
Yeah.
green.
Yeah, you just got Listen, and I feel like that's been the going theme here. Is like these bunkers are so well designed in terms of where they're at.
Yeah.
Obviously, these long guys may be able to bomb it over, but if you mishit it a little bit and you end up in it, it's beyond penal in my eyes.
Yeah.
So you leave 13, and then you go to the par 5, the only par 5 on the back 9, 14, and again, I look at, kind of 14 and 15 on back-to-back holes as two birdie holes back-to-back.
Yeah.
Coming off 13, I don't know if I can project a lot of birdies being made there. I don't.
Yeah.
But then you get to 14 and 15.
Just because that green is so big on 13.
Yeah.
Like, depending on where they put it, there was a lot of,
slope.
like,
A lot going on there.
I said to Mike, I had my ball on my particular putt, I had it aimed 2 feet right, and I was still 3 feet short of
Yes.
it being right. Like,
Yeah.
it is a big sloping green,
Yeah.
and that's to the point I think a lot of guys will go, 3-wood, be short of it, still have some kind of high, 9-iron wedge onto the
Yeah.
green, but it's the green on that
Yeah.
hole that
Challenge.
will challenge the birdies.
Yeah.
That you won't, you'll have a lot of tap-in pars, I imagine.
Yeah, and then you get to 14. I just think 14 is a birdie hole. I
Yeah.
know it's uphill, and I know there's little bunkers that sneak out there on the left-hand side, but again, it's 502 yards from the back tees. You got to think that those guys, again, are licking their chops there.
For sure, it's definitely an iron into that green if it's a well-struck drive. You have to avoid the 2 bunkers down the left-hand side. Again, penal bunkers that if you kind of get it down, there's the American flag is up on that hill next to the clubhouse, and if you see that waving, that's your target, which is a little right of center. Hit it out that way. Better to be in the right rough than to challenge that left side because those bunkers can get penal. I've had it up to the front of that bunker where I've had to hit sandwich out of that bunker, just get it back in play, and then have 190 yards into the green. If you hit it down the right-hand side like you did, what'd you have in 190 yards into the green, and a little challenge because you had to keep the trees in your, you had to keep it below some trees, but better over there on the right.
Yeah, there's surprisingly for the audience of the 14th hole, there's way more room right than I think you kind of give it credit for, especially when you're looking at the tee box. You see these big trees, you're like, I can't go there.
Yeah.
So maybe I tug it a little bit. You go left, forget about it. It's game over.
Yeah.
As Chris found out.
The green is also challenging up there on 14. Everything goes from right to left pretty severely, and there's a left-hand bunker, which is not a bad place to be. If you zip something up the fairway, you hit a low shot, a punch or something that's going to kind of move towards the left and maybe wind up in that bunker just short into a little collection area before the green. But it's okay to hit it down there because you've got a free rein up towards a big green. Some of the hole locations up right, there's one that's back left that's over a little bit of ridge, and then front left, I don't even know if we can put it front left depending upon the speeds of the green, because it'll be challenging. If you hit it into the middle green, coming back to the front of the green, challenge.
Yeah, and then you get to 15. I know 15 says 387 on the card, but I think you and I talked about this. Like downwind, these guys can get there.
Oh, sure.
They can get there. Especially, I think, knowing how this course is going to be set up, it's going to be firm and fast.
Yep.
One big bounce in that fairway. If, again, you avoid the bunkers in the fairway, you can be in greenside bunker.
You whiffed one out there to about 60 yards from the green. So I think that there's a challenge
whoa.
for
Big strong man.
I
Strong
didn't mean
like
to,
bull.
did I say whiff?
We call a spade a spade. It's cool. I'm good with it.
But the key is that new really strong bunker on the left-hand side with a big front lip. The hole is going to be behind that a couple of times. Probably further back, which is a good hole location to attack it because there's a little slope behind the green and on the back left. But when it's front left, it's almost, guys might want to back off the driver and be able to hit a full sand wedge and to spin it over that left bunker.
Yeah, and I think that might be one hole I would recommend to see where the pin is before I tee off, or at least have some sort of game plan, because if the pin is middle right, kind of where it was today, then I could see guys saying, I'm going to grip and rip this, and if it ends up in that bunker, I'm fine. But to your point, if it is left, being in that bunker is not...
Short side, it's not going to be
not
short side.
recommended.
Yeah. And those two fairway bunkers that are on the plateau where these guys will all be driving, those are both new, both on the left-hand side and the right. When they first designed it, they put it on the left-hand side, but then they realized that, it might probably make sense to put one down the right-hand side, so there's a pretty penal bunker on the right-hand side that's only about 100 yards, 110 yards from the green. So a challenging shot to have that short shot from a fairway bunker, and especially if you have to carry the greenside bunker if it's a left hole location.
And then we get to a couple of these, par 3, par 4, par 3 to end, and you get on 16's tee. And I know it says only 176 on the card, but it does play a little bit uphill. It's a little bit narrow. I think that is I know I said this to you on the golf course. This says it's the easiest hole on the course. And I said to you, there's no way that this is the easiest hole.
Some holes got to be the easiest.
Yeah, I guess so.
They got to rank them.
I know. But I just
wins.
don't see that, because I think that's a sneaky good hole.
It's a good hole. It's a good hole because the green itself is on a bit of a plateau, and it rolls off every direction. It rolls on the left down to the 17th tee, which is very challenging. 2 front bunkers, one on either side, and then the back right, it kind of scoots out there too, and then beyond the green, it goes down into fescue. So you got to get it up there. It's got to be a high enough shot to stay on the pad, and it's just a good solid hole. I don't agree with 18. Yeah.
Easiest hole, but listen, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then you get to 17, 450.
In the words of Don LaGreca, who you taking out?
Exactly.
So you get to 17, and I think that's kind of a little bit of a monster back there. You got 450 from the back tees. Again, there's a little more room on the right-hand side than you kind of really give it credit for, because when I look at that hole and I'm like, all right, I got these trees, but there is the room to work with. That's just a good hole.
Yeah.
It's just a good hole.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it without just saying, like, it's challenging.
Yeah, agreed. The green on that hole is one of the harder ones to read. So I've been up there, many times with have a 5 or 6 footer and just read it wrong. I don't know why. You'd think over the years you'd be able to figure out, but it's just hard to see the breaks there. So that, coupled with the fact that you've got a good drive, you got pine trees to the left of the drive zone, so you really don't want to go left. You can blow it a little right. There's a couple of oaks out there, but you can scoot it under like you did. Like most people would play it left at that oak, you played it right at the oak. To try.
Can't cut the ball if I tried.
Dealer's choice. But at least you have a shot over there. You can do something with it over there. And then certainly the fairway's generous, but it's kind of cants a little bit to your down to the right, and then the green is up on it's kind of like up on a little plateau with a good bunker on the left and now a newer bunker on the right. It's a good target.
Yeah.
But once you hit the middle of that green, you still have a challenge trying to figure out which way it's going to break.
And it's tricky because we all had undulations in the fairway there. There was nobody had a flat spot, so it's one of those where it does look rather straightforward. You got a rather large, looks like a rather large fairway to hit, rather large green to hit, right? But your stance is, if you're not paying attention. Yeah. The ball's going to be a little bit below, a little bit above, and you're going to, again, not paying attention, you're going to have a little wayward shot.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming into what I think is the best hole. I know I said this on 18 and not even counting what I did. But not even, no, I said it before we even teed off, because not many golf courses finish with a par 3.
Yeah.
They don't. And at 206 yards, it's not even a little joke of a par 3. It is like the green is elevated. There's multi-levels to the green if you don't know ahead of time where this pin is going to be located. You got a bunker on the right-hand side that kind of protects it. And then on top of it, you got the audience.
Yeah.
Because when you're coming back, you got everything's here.
Yeah.
I can only imagine if I had a 1 or 2 stroke lead coming into this last hole, I'm gripping the club a little tighter.
Yeah.
Saying this has to be, from an outsider's perspective, the signature hole here.
It is that very unique hole, as you said, to finish with a par 3. The natural amphitheater is there, which is so much fun for the last hole of a club event. Mm-hmm. We have an event here called the Silver Putter, which is a 2-day medal play event. And everything imaginable has happened on that hole, from guys knocking it into 2 feet to win the tournament, but also there was a story of a guy making a 16 on that hole to lose by only, he had a 8-shot lead playing that hole and made it 16. So it was just because there's just a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. There's the front bunkers, there's a back bunker. It's not a back bunker, but a left side further up in the fairway, up near the green. But the green itself has got so much going on that it's going to be a challenge. The guy's got to be able to hit it onto the right quadrant of the green, and then still, even if you're on the right quadrant, there's still a lot of break there that could.
And if you don't hit the green or those bunkers, I mean, it is, as Mike said, it's rather mountainous.
Oh, yeah.
If you hit the side, it's not just like sliding away. It's hitting and ricocheting.
Yeah, I'd make one suggestion that who's ever leading the tournament has more than a 1-stroke lead coming into 18.
It's a good suggestion.
I mean, listen, last thing I'd want to do is have to make a par on that last hole to hold on. But like
when I played the amateur here back in 1996. I bogeyed that hole all 4 times.
You see?
It's just a hard hole.
It is a very hard hole.
Yeah.
But I think, that hole 18 is it for me. And that kind of wraps everything up as the par 71. And I did want to throw this out there because I think what the USGA has done in terms of making this event and all associations inside the United States, if you win this tournament, you are automatically in the United States Amateur.
Yeah.
You can bypass all the qualifying and you're get in, which makes this field, in my eyes, loaded.
Yeah.
You got everybody here.
Yep.
We can run through a caveat of names. It's really the who's who.
It's a great field, and they're, unfortunately, when it comes down to state amateurs, sometimes the elite player has to choose not to play in them because they're playing in so many things. They're amateurs. They still got to work every once in a while. So guys don't have the opportunity to play in their state amateurs. Now the USGA has changed it so that if you qualify, not every state amateur is going to qualify, but if you have the strength of field to qualify, you'll get an exemption into the winner will get an exemption into the actual tournament. And there will be, if you have a real strong field, there may be the next couple of guys will get exempt from the local qualifier into the regional qualifier. So there's a couple of real nice opportunities for the players who play at a national level. To play in the U.S. Amateur, you always had one shot, unless you figured it out like Mark Costanza finished in a semifinalist, or a finalist, unless you get to that point, the only other way is to go through the qualifier. Now there's one more opportunity. So it's great for the state. Think about it. The nicest thing is we're going to have somebody to cheer for every year from New Jersey in the stadium, in the USAM.
But also what it does, you would think, and maybe selfishly from the state standpoint, you would want the best field possible.
Absolutely.
And now this is forcing them. Like those guys, they might say like, okay, well, I'll go try a qualifier because I'm playing in one of these other tournaments. You know, you got all these like national,
So
like the Carry Cup and all this kind of, like you might have other stuff going on, not to mention work. But now it's like, okay, I'm going to make that a mainstay event. Like now, and that really is what it should be. Like the state am should be the key thing for amateur golf in your state. So why not make it that? It's a great thing that they did.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. It was a great opportunity for the players.
And I guess my last question I have for you
No bias.
is what do you think, if you had to put a prediction on what the winning score will be after 72 holes? What do you know, I know you and I talked about this out there, and I have an idea as to what I think. What you know this golf course better than almost every single person that will even step foot here. What do you think the number is going to be?
So I think when thinking about this, you kind of look at history, and when the amateur was here in '96, 3 over 1. And at the time, there was a lot of great players, you know, Jeff Thomas and Billy McGinnis, and there's a lot of great players, and McGinnis won it at 3 over par. And I think that nowadays the golf is better. You can just see it in our qualifiers where you used to be able to qualify for the amateurs shooting 77, 78. Now you got to shoot 74, 75. So golf in general is better. And that means that the guys who are winning are going to shoot lower. So I think this is a real strong test. It's not your bomb it and hit it as far as you can, have a lot of room, big greens and everything. You've got to kind of work your ball around here. The greens are going to be really fast. To your point, it's going to play firm, God willing, with weather. But if that's the case, I still think because the play is so much better, I think we're going to get to 6 to 7 to 8 under par as a lead, as a winner.
Yeah, I kind of, when we talked about it out there, I kind of said 7 too. I kind of think that is, probably a realistic number. But I guess, listen, if someone gets on a heater, I could see. I don't know if double digits seems outrageous, but you're talking 4 rounds of golf, so it's a lot of golf being out there, and there are holes where, if you are striping it, listen.
68, 68, 68, 68.
Yeah,
68's not unreasonable.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 4 rounds of that, you're right at 1,200.
Yeah.
So, I can see that.
And we've had amateurs get to that number in recently. But I think around here, there's little quirky things that could happen to you. You miss a green by a couple of feet, you can go down into the fescue and you don't have a shot. So there's things that are going to creep up on even the best players to just keep them in, to keep everybody in. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people under par. I don't think it's going to be that way. But I think somebody has the opportunity to get on a run and shoot a good number.
And as we started, those first couple holes I think are going to be key for somebody, because if you can go, 4 under through 6, 3 under through 6, then you got to hold on for dear life for the rest of the front.
Middle of the golf course, and then through 11, and then you get to 12 and 12, 13, 14, 15, like we were saying before. You should have a birdie opportunity on 12. 13, if you hit a good drive, you're going to be hitting wedge or 9 iron in, and then 14 and 15 are birdie holes. Yeah. So then you just kind of get in shape for the last 3 holes, and if you get it going in the right direction, I think a number could happen.
And I think being able to change those gears, right? Like mentally focusing, like, hey, these are holes that I want to attack, right? Your mindset is different in those, and then it's like, okay, these are ones that I need to grind out, and changing that focus, and then doing it again and again. I think that's going to be a big.
Agreed. Listen, our club champion Rod Cochran just shot 65 out here on Sunday, so he admittedly said to me that he just made everything, but that can happen. Somebody in the tournament is going to get like that and make a run at it. The question is, what's that going to happen the next day? You got 4 rounds of medal play. It's one of the only. I don't know if you guys even know this. It's one of the only amateur championships that are still 4 rounds of medal play in the country. Most have moved to match play and such, so we've traditionally wanted to keep it that way. And 4 rounds of medal play is a grind.
It is.
Yeah, it can be exhausting.
Yeah.
And listen,
Look at you played how many holes? 40, 45 holes today.
today
You
was a
look
long
exhausted.
day. Today was a long day. Today was a long day, but as a golf junkie as I am, I love it. So, I mean, I to your point, though, listen, I'm excited to get this thing going. I know the tournament starts on Monday, and these guys are going to be out there and licking their chops a little bit to tee this thing up. And I will say this is I think if the right person gets hot, I can see something going crazy. But I also will say this, that if you're not strategically thinking your way around here and kind of poking and prodding, high numbers is going to bite you in the butt. So, listen, I can't thank you enough for having us up here, experiencing this place, and best of luck to you, the membership here, and everybody in the field that's listening.
Listen, we as a State of Golf Association, we want to put on a nice show. This is a great place to do it. We're so fortunate in New Jersey to have the Baltusrolls and Canoe Brooks and the Ridge at Backbrook and so many Ridgewood, so many great golf courses. This is one that people might not know about. But the amateur is open to the public. You can come and you can watch. You can see great golf, really, really good golf, and you just come and take a walk around a pretty place. So they're welcome to come.
I couldn't second that anymore. It is really it's a hidden gem that I really didn't know about. And to your point, it was a real treat getting to go around here today and again getting to play and having this. This was an awesome day, and I think the State Am is really in for is really lucky to have this place. I really do.
So thank you again.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great being with you.
Thanks so much.
Yep. You bet.